Forget about the king of New York.
Who really the king in New York?
I'm talking about the king of Africa.
Get up, stand up. Did you hear? Stand up for your right one more time.
As I heard Buju Banton say, like, if Vybz Kartel should twist it, it would be crazy.
Vybz Kartel is a man. Him stimulate me Evans with the music. If only him could have realized where him have.
Yes.
And turn the spanner anti-clockwise and then turn it in the right direction.
If he had twisted talent and turned it into, like, you know, some Rastafari and then some, you know, good message,
Tattoo time come, all of this space for me skin soon done.
you know, then you could probably say, okay, guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Drew Williams. And if you know anything about me, you'd have known that I spent 3 months in Nairobi, Kenya. In Jamaica, we say, yo, your thing lily. It means the New York thing is a little.
What gave you the right, the balls?
We're talking big boy thing. And we're talking about Bob Marley versus Vybz Kartel. To me, it's almost like there's no competition. But me traveling to Africa, I've learned a lot that Vybz Kartel is pretty huge in Africa.
Cartel should definitely come to Kenya.
Right? And it really depends on sometimes which African country you're at. But I think Vybz Kartel is very popular throughout Africa. Let's first speak about the king of reggae, Bob Marley.
You can fool some people sometimes, but you can't fool all the people all the time. And now you see the light. Stand up for your right.
So guys, Bob Marley passed away at 1981 at the age of 36. So it's been 44 years since Bob Marley has gone. And guys, his music is still popular as it was then, as it is now, right? I remember living in London and hearing Bob Marley come on in the clubs, and people would go wild, guys, like it's some new artist, you know what I'm saying? So Bob Marley is still significantly relevant, especially his music. The guy is not dead. The king is not dead. Now let's speak a little bit more about Bob Marley. Let's see who is more popular, Vybz Kartel versus Bob Marley. Bob Marley is significantly more popular than Vybz Kartel. While Vybz Kartel is currently a prominent, you know, dancehall artist, you know, very popular all over the world with his big song Fever. Bob Marley's global impact, you know, his music, Rastafarism, you know, spreading one love, you know, it's as relevant then as it is now.
Get up, stand up. Did you hear? Don't give up the fight.
Bob Marley is universally recognized and loved across the African continent. You know, Bob Marley is huge, guys. Bob Marley's music about peace and love, you know, resonate with everyone. And, you know, get up, stand up for your right. Don't give up the fight, you know. Bob Marley is very powerful, guys. His music, you know, it makes some people uncomfortable. You know what I'm talking about.
You can fool some people sometimes, but you can't fool all the people all the time. And now you see the light. Stand up for your right.
Bob Marley influence, guys, is literally more than music, you know. You know, like everywhere you go, you see people wearing dreadlocks these days. And it's usually associated with Bob Marley and Rastafarism, you know what I mean? Like, you can't go to no country and say Jamaica, and the first thing you're going to hear is Bob Marley. No, guys, Bob Marley influence in Africa is pretty huge because of the message that he preached in his music, guys.
Get up, stand up. Did you hear? Stand up for your right one more time.
It was a message of redemption, you know, and, you know, he tell you to believe in yourself, and that there won't be no God gonna come from the sky and, you know, wipe away everything and make everything all right, you know. He just tell you to, you know, look to your inner self, guys, and uplift yourself and be strong, and you can't count on something that you never see. Bob Marley has performed in Africa around 3 times. Bob Marley has performed in Zimbabwe.
Bob Marley performing in Zimbabwe.
And he has performed in Gabon. And he has stopped over on these trips to Kenya twice. Now, Bob Marley had performed in Zimbabwe in the Zimbabwean independence. And that was crazy, guys. Yeah, people jumping over the fence. I heard it was crazy, guys. When they heard Bob Marley's music, the crowd went wild, guys. You know, it was, I don't know, guys. It was pandemonium, the love they have for Bob Marley. You know, while Bob Marley didn't perform in Kenya, he didn't have any, scheduled shows. But, it seems like he stopped off in Kenya, really, pushed the love for reggae music some more. He performed in Gabon in 1980. He also took a brief stop in Kenya. He actually visited Kenya twice on his way to Ethiopia, 1978 and 1980. Now, guys, for me, growing up as a kid in Jamaica, is either Michael Jackson or Bob Marley. You know what I mean? Like, these were my icons, and they are still my icons. Bob Marley is my favorite artist of all time. I remember living in London and having his posters all over my room, guys, all over my wall. I love Bob Marley until this day, guys. So I can understand the love of Bob Marley in Africa. Because, guys, when I travel to Africa, when I travel to Kenya, and I say Jamaican when people ask me where I'm from, and I was surprised to hear a lot of people say Vybz Kartel. I was getting more Vybz Kartel than Bob Marley. I don't know why. I think it's because of the younger generation and maybe the eras that I was in. I don't know, but I think throughout Kenya, Vybz Kartel is pretty big. But guys, now let's talk about Vybz Kartel and his influence in Africa and how big he is at the moment. Now guys, Vybz Kartel is a very prominent artist in dancehall music. He's super big, especially since going to prison and being released from prison. Absence make the heart grow fonder. And people don't see you, they appreciate you more. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's part of the hype as well. Now guys, Vybz Kartel is very popular in Kenya, especially amongst the ghetto youths. And it stems from his relatable lyrics, his musical style, and the fact that, he came from a similar background. As I said, like Kayole, like, Kibera, And to me, that's definitely a fact. His music blending with, dancehall, hip-hop, and different genres, makes it very appealing to the youths, especially with the trap beats nowadays as well. And his raw, unapologetic lyrics, coupled with his charismatic stage performance. Let me tell you guys, the word Gaza is big in Africa. It's big in Kayole, guys.
I can say people in Kenya, even there's a place called Gaza.
Yeah, heard of it?
Yeah.
Kayole?
Kayole, yeah.
Kayole, yeah. It's humongous. I've been there, guys. No joke. You know what I'm saying? I've been there myself, and I'm not talking about what somebody tells me. I'm telling you, I was on the street. I was on the ground, guys. The guy is huge, Vybz Kartel do a show in Africa, like if you stop over to Kenya, it would have to be like, 10 dozen shows, because it would be crazy. It would be pandemonium. There would be like national security. You'd have to bring out the National Guard. I'm not joking. Literally, guys. I know Bob Marley is big too, and I know, if they go toe-to-toe, it's going to be Bob Marley. No doubt about it. Even on the radio. You know what I'm saying? But I think in areas like Kayole, Kibera, which I visited. I haven't visited Kayole, but I visited Kibera. And when I say Jamaica, first thing they say is Vybz Kartel. And so I think it's usually maybe because, and I think why Kartel is so big nowadays is because of the prison, and his music is very impactful as well in the sense of, he's a big artist, you know what I'm saying? But of course, the message is totally different, guys. You can't even compare it.
Are you a rich man?
When you mean rich, what you mean?
Do you have a lot of possessions? A lot of money in the bank?
Position make you rich? I don't have that type of richness. My richness is life, forever.
So I think in certain areas where you have like certain crime and poverty, not that poverty breeds crime, that's totally false. I know a lot of people who's poor and they've never been involved in crime. There's a lot of poor countries in Africa that's, that's very, very safe, so it have nothing to do with poverty. It's just culture and mindset. While Vybz Kartel is very big, he's not as impactful as Bob Marley. He's not like as global as Bob Marley. His music is more genre specific in the sense like, I think it's kind of limited to a certain audience. That's my opinion. Don't come for me. Don't come for me, all right? And guys, you have to admit it, because when you do a certain kind of music, degenerate music, crime, violent music, there's only a certain place you can play. You know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't play that in a church. You wouldn't play that in a kid's playground. It's limited. So you can understand the difference between Vybz Kartel and Bob Marley, And as I heard Buju Banton say, like, if Vybz Kartel should twist it, it would be crazy. If he had twist that talent and turn it into like, some Rastafari and then some, good message, then you could probably say, okay, maybe one day in the future, 50 years from now, we could say, okay, let's try to compare them. But at the moment, Bob Marley is leading by a mile. You know what I'm saying? Not by a mile, by 1,000 miles. Now, guys, let's talk about record sales. To date, Bob Marley has sold over 75 million records. Compared to Vybz Kartel, we don't know. I think Vybz Kartel make more money off like royalties, dub plates, and shows. While Bob Marley is like, selling records here and there. Bob Marley used to sell out stadiums. You know what I'm saying? We know Vybz Kartel is like, do a few shows here and there since it really, coming from prison. And, selling out a few shows. We don't know how long the hype is going to keep going because, as I said, absence make the heart grow fonder, and people like, it's a big hype. Kartel have a huge personality, guys. I'm not knocking him. You know what I'm saying? I like Vybz Kartel. He's a lyrical wizard. I remember back in the days when he used to spit lyrics, guys. Now he's more singy, but back in the days, he's a wizard, guys. A lyrical wizard, wizardry. While Bob Marley is considered one of the best-selling artists of all times, we can't find any sales on Vybz Kartel. So there's no even comparing it. You might, of course, with some Gen Zs in Kenya, Vybz Kartel might be more popular because of TikTok. Bob Marley is not trending. But we know how trends go. Trends come and go. Bob Marley is like that food that you eat all the time, and Vybz Kartel is like that little thing that you snack on sometimes. That's how I would kind of sum up some of it. But I personally think that Vybz Kartel going to prison, and the whole court system and the whole court case, it just makes it makes him more popular, guys. And then being released from prison, people want to see him. People are curious, curiosity, guys. It builds your career. Like rappers used to do it in America. Do some dumb shit, get caught with some, what I'm saying, because, having something behind your name, would push record sales, what I'm saying, or, do some dumb shit when the record is going to come out or the album. Bob Marley didn't have to do any of that, guys. Imagine if Bob Marley was alive today doing the records he's doing. Bob Marley was selling these records, guys, when you didn't have no internet, when you didn't have any downloads, what I'm saying. So imagine if Bob Marley was around today. It's no competition, guys. So who, guys, let me know your thoughts. Who you think the king of Africa is? What I'm saying. In my opinion, guys, Bob Marley is the king, and there's no disputing that, guys. But I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I gotta give the guys props. Everywhere I go in Africa, in Kenya, people saying Vybz Kartel. I was shocked because I was expecting Bob Marley. And let me show you how the difference. Like when I go to Europe, anywhere in Europe, and I say Jamaica, first thing somebody say Bob Marley. This is the first country I ever go in my life, guys, and people say Vybz Kartel, Vybz Kartel. But let me tell you guys, reggae music is big, and I can see why reggae music is so big in Africa. It's because of Bob Marley and the message in the music. That being said, Bob Marley still holds the crown. I don't know, guys. I didn't do a national survey. This is strictly my opinion. What I'm saying. I've done a little research on Google as well, and it's still telling me about Bob Marley is much bigger than Vybz Kartel. So I don't know. Is AI lying? Or AI is just trying. Guys, want to hear some crazy numbers? Bob Marley had played in the Sansaria Stadium in June, the 27th of June, 1980, in front of 110,000 people, guys. That is crazy. Those numbers are just ridiculous, guys. While Bob Marley played to over 100,000 people in Harare, there was an estimated 90,000 people outside the stadium, guys. Now, who on earth can move such crowd and draw such crowd, guys? It probably only Bob Marley and Michael Jackson. The impact of Bob Marley in Africa, guys, is just ridiculous. You know, and now you can see why Bob Marley is so big. And Bob Marley's biggest song to date, our most selling song, is Three Little Birds. You know, I think maybe One Love is up there as well. Now, guys, my favorite album of Bob Marley is Exodus, you know, and Uprising. Guys, let me know what your thoughts are, man. Let me know who you think is the biggest. Let me know who you think is the king of Africa. Bob Marley versus Vybz Kartel. Leave your thoughts and tell me why you think, you know, this one is bigger and why this one should be the king. You know what I'm saying? You know my thoughts already. You know what I mean? You know Bob Marley. I'm all the way. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, guys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. All right? I'm on for now. Boop.